Alright, this video is a collection of clips from the Subzero versus Vault game. It's not as organized as previous videos. There's some defense in here, there's some offensive cutting in here, there's a lot of throwing in here, there's a lot of recognizing poaches in here. So just a collection of clips that I noticed when I was watching this game and wanted to pull and talk about. I'm not going to bury the lead. Subzero wins this game on Universe, and our boy PK is the one that ends it. So we'll watch this full speed, and then we'll go back and show this again. So here it is full speed. PK ends the game. Let's back it up. Let's now pay attention to how PK does this. So we've got a thrower that's being forced backhand, being forced towards this sideline. This thrower is on the trap side. PK is break side of his thrower. He's going to get downhill at his thrower. We've talked about this a bit with our reset system. PK gets downhill, takes a few steps straight at the thrower, getting downhill at the thrower. In this moment, I want us to pay attention to the defender. Defender's doing a good job. He's got his legs underneath him. He's dropping his hips. He's getting athletic with these legs. Pay attention to his head right here, right? The defender is lower than PK. The defender is under PK. PK is going to violently throw his left leg into the ground. He's dropping his hips aggressively. PK, boom, this is the frame I wanted. Look at how now PK is just way underneath this defender. PK's head dropped. PK's head used to be up here, and now it's down here. He just dropped his center of gravity like 12 inches, maybe even 18 inches, getting really low, getting under the defender. If I ever talk to you about getting under your defender, this is what I mean. Get your center of gravity underneath your defender's center of gravity, and that allows you to be quicker than them. That allows you to turn them just like this. In this moment, this defender's dead, right? So the defender is just staring at PK. He's panicking. He has to lock in on PK. This is damage control position for this defender. All the thrower has to do is recognize that this guy's in a bad spot and lay it out into space, throw it past the defender's shoulder for an easy goal. We got a strong, smart thrower here. They're going to recognize that. Just lay it out into space. Let PK win the game. Good job from Subzero. A lot of good clips in this. Hopefully we can learn from it, and hopefully we enjoy the video. In this clip, we're going to see Subzero getting some break side momentum. So the force here is forehand, and they're getting momentum towards this backhand space. We're going to see a really good break side example from Austin Jin here. So you'll see him push vertically a little bit. Recognize that there's break side momentum, so he gives this slash cut, and then he's also going to do a really nice job of immediately throwing this disc upfield. So we'll show it full speed, then we'll look at it again. Boom, here he comes on the slash, gets his head up, immediately sees it, and continues. So really good job from Austin Jin here. I want to show it to everybody. Slow it down a little bit. Getting horizontal, getting vertical. Now here's the horizontal break. Catches the disc. Immediately head. Look how he's looking really fast. All in one fluid motion. Great job from AG. Good example of how to cut slash and how to continue that throw. Going to see a nice huck from Subzero here. So this is four side action. Here you can see the thrower is being forced forehand into the sideline. And this throw is going to the middle of the end zone, which is a huge thing that I like. Pay attention to this. Look at this cutter, the way that he's setting it up, right? His angle is this way. Think about yourself in this situation. How many of us would have ran our angle that way? Also think about this throw in this situation. How many of us would have tried to throw straight down the line here? So paying attention, the first time we watch this, paying attention to the placement of both where is this cutter bringing his cut and where is this thrower sending the disc. So we can see that the cutter's taking an angle that opens up the field. The thrower's taking an angle that also opens up the field. Throwing right to here, this circle is the middle of the end zone. So really good placement. Next time, this time through when we watch, pay attention to the shape of this huck. Right? How many of us would have put the disc as flat as this is, right? A lot of us, I think, would have put just a ton of edge. I think that most of us would have thrown the Frisbee with a ton of edge right to this space over here. And we probably would, and what I mean by edge is like this disc would be like something like that, coming in really hot. But here we're looking at a really good throw to this space. We're looking at the flatness of this throw. It is just driven. It's out in front of the receiver. It's a really good throw. So a lot to learn from in this clip. This might be one of the most important clips we look at all fall long. So here's Subzero's getting into their offense. Immediately Vault is sending this poacher, getting in the way, right? Trying to stop Subzero from setting up whatever their play they're doing. We can also see this sag here. So pay attention to this shape of the front defense. If I just draw it out quick, right? This little V shape, not as aggressive as what we saw with the Machine and Bravo stuff, but still like a pretty similar concept. PK is going to just get out of the way. As PK is getting out of the way, I really want people to just pay attention to how little Will is moving here, right? Will is just walking. And the thrower here is solving his problems by just hitting that same spot that we discussed in the Machine versus Bravo footage. So when we see this shape, from the front defense, there is often a weak spot in the defense right here. And if the thrower is confident enough to just throw it here, and if this guy is smart enough to just say, hey, I'm going to sit and wait and occupy this space, we can find this hole. Really good job there by Subzero of just throwing right through the defense and finding that hole, finding that soft spot. See a really good driven cut here by KJ, really good comeback, strong run through. Notice how he sealed that person out, boxed him out the whole way. Good job from KJ. And now this is going to be, I think, one of the best continued cuts that I've seen while cutting footage for the fall footage series. But we're going to see JT. He was over here. He was pushing just along the sideline. When we run this back, I want people to pay attention to how JT is just holding the width of the offense. He is moving along the sideline like this. Think about yourself. Would you have started drifting into the middle? Would you have started compressing the width of our offense? I think a lot of us, the answer is yes, if we're being honest with ourselves. So JT was here on the sideline. He pushed along the sideline like that. He held width for his teammates. He's about to make an aggressive horizontal move like this. His defender is going to bite pretty hard on this move, and then JT is going to the house. So this shape is something that I've tried to teach a lot. Kind of push vertically, hold your width, attack horizontally, turn that horizontal move into a deep shot, and then we're going to see a very good throw, soft into space as JT scores. So here's that horizontal move, breaking it down, getting vertical, throw to the end zone. We're going to back this up and watch the whole thing again. I'm going to slow it down. So we'll see, here's the initial clear out, throw to the soft spot. I just want you to really watch JT this whole time. Look at how he's holding space. Look, he created width. See that move? He created width, holding width. Bam, he's seeing KJ come through. Let me get horizontal. Let me break it down. Let me take it to the house. Really good throw. Look at the shape on this throw. Ask yourself, would I have thrown that shape or would I have put a lot more edge on that throw? I think this is just a phenomenal example of smart defense or smart offense and great continued cutting. Subzero's about to catch this pull. We're going to see another really good example of smart cutting by JT. So Seabass catches this up line. JT thinks that he's in a dead space, right? He's on the sideline. The goal of a host stack is usually to attack through the middle. So he's thinking, okay, I'm in the dead space. But all of a sudden the disc comes with power position to JT's doorstep. So now the dead space JT thought he had is no longer dead space. This is now attacking space. So he's got to get out of there, and he does a great job. He just horizontally slashes across like that. Here's a great still frame. You can see how his head finds Seabass, right? This is great awareness for JT. What if Seabass wants to hit him in momentum here with a little backhand? He could have. Bass had that option because JT's head gives him that. JT checks in again. He took a few hard steps, created a lot of width, got him out. His person left him. His person stayed in this lane to play defense on downfield stuff. JT's got really good awareness, right? Head on the disc. He's seeing the whole action. He's seeing the play. He recognizes no one's guarding me. I'm wide open. Gives Seabass this big option for a huge swing. That creates a lot of space for the Subzero offense, and it sets them up for success moving forward. So great example of awareness by JT, a great clear, a great recognition that no one's guarding him, a great fill. Provide an option for your team to create space. defensive clip here. Levi's guy throws this under, and now we're going to just watch Levi play defense here. We're going to pay attention to how much Levi is shuffling. We're going to pay attention to how he gets a hand on his player's hip, right? And he's not extending. This elbow is bent. He's not like pushing his defender. He is just feeling them out, stepping into their space, getting on their hip, compressing this space. That touch allowed him to play really good defense on all these fakes and to really heavily contest that dump. We're going to go back and watch this whole thing again. So we're paying attention to the shuffling. We're paying attention to the touch on the hip. We're paying attention to how Levi closes space down, sticks with this person through a lot of moves. The shuffling all the way through, the compression on the hip all the way through. Great example of reset defense by Levi here. Another Levi defense clip. It's a fast one again, but we're watching the shuffling here again. We're watching the footwork. We're watching the compression of the space. We're going to go back and slow this all down and see it again. So here we go. Same clip, slower. Levi's guy throws it, starts advancing to that primary reset spot. We can see all this shuffling happening. These are crossover hunt steps. Shuffling, compression on the hip. Look, Levi gets into the body. He's on top here. Shuffling. His head goes to the thrower on this reset. Shuffling. Really good proactive defense. Great job of keeping his body low, of moving quickly, of staying close to his person, of staying on a hip. Good example of reset defense there from Levi. We're going to see Vault come out here in a 2-3 split stack. So what I mean by 2-3 split stack, there's one person here, there's another person here, there's two, so that's a 2, and then 1, 2, 3, that's 3 over here. So we got 2, 3 in a split. The 3 is running the little flood play, so 22 and 10 here are clearing out. Tristan does a good job of recognizing that, and he's just letting 22 go. And I think Tristan is anticipating 2 coming down and immediately finds them. So 2 recognizes, hey, Subzero here is putting on a little bracket. They're cheating our play a little bit. And here we can see really good communication from Tristan and Mako, right? Eyes to eyes. They can see each other. They both have hands pointed. They're both actively communicating a switch here. They're both actively communicating that they understand, like they are working together to play defense. I think a lot of times when switches fail, you'll see one person being really active with body language and communication, and another person just in their own little world, totally locked in on something else. So they're very active and good. Mako's pointing, telling Tristan to go. At this point, Tristan's locking in. And this point, Mako recognizes, hey, Tristan's locked and I'm on an island now. So Mako's not looking for any more switches or helps. Mako recognizes, hey, this is my time to like step up and play defense and be there for my team. Closes on the disc, great D. So great switch defense from Tristan and Mako. Great recognition of when the switch is over and it's time to just lock in and play defense on your person and on your matchup. Really good example there. So another clip of just Subzero getting their offense going. And here's a great clip. Here's the first still frame that I want people to focus on. So Vault is doing that thing. Here's defender, here's defender, here's defender. This is a handler sag. They're creating this V shape on the first thrower. This is a very common thing. We see it a lot. A lot of teams are doing it. What I need people to start thinking about is like, okay, yeah, this is scary, but there's going to be a soft spot in the middle of this V shape, and we can solve our problem. If our thrower is a good thrower, they can solve all of our problems by breaking the mark. So if I think I'm at the start of my clip here. Center it to the main thrower. The V comes as Will is clearing out, and then they just solve their problems by throwing right through the teeth of that V shape and finding the middle of the field. And we'll slow this down. So as we see, this player is just going to clear out. This player is going to kind of sit in space, fire right through the middle of the V, find that empty spot. I think a lot of our throwers feel like, oh, it's the cutter's fault, it's the cutter's fault, they're never going in the right spot. And I think our throwers need to recognize that they could solve all of our problems by breaking the mark and throwing right through the V. I think our handlers are really scared of Vs and never throw through them. Really good example of how throwing through that can get things going, give your team momentum, and give your team get your team attacking downfield. So an example of how to throw when you recognize that there's poaches happening. So we've got PK with the frisbee going from left to right on your screen. He's being forced forehand. He's being forced into the sideline here. Let this play. We're going to see Levi's guy just run away, just run to this space and try to poach. PK does a great job of just recognizing, hey, this guy came from off screen into my field of vision. He's trying to poach downfield. I've got a layup of a swing to Levi right there. Also really good recognition from Levi. As soon as his guy left him, hand in the air, hey, I'm wide open. Let me just give my guy an option. Let me just create space to continue this all the way across the field, open up field space for my team, turn a disadvantaged situation with a thrower on the trap side to a thrower on the wide side over here. Great recognition from PK of seeing that poach. Great recognition of Levi for giving an option. Here we're going to see Vault send some poaches at Subzero. So here 19 is poaching, 30 is over the top trying to help out, and also this player is involved. So I think there's a little three-way poach system being set up here where they're all trying to work together. We can see how they're passing off here. This is kind of situation we can even see. I would even call this this is that V shape that we've discussed a couple times, right? So we have the thrower here, and in front of the thrower, defender, right? Creating a little V shape on the thrower to kind of pressure everything. There is going to be a soft spot right in the middle of that V, and our thrower can solve all of their problems by breaking the mark. And that's what we're going to see here. The thrower has the competence to just break the mark, throw right through the middle of that V and hit that soft spot. I think this is a great example. I think this is one that a lot of our throwers, a lot of our handlers probably would have looked this off. We would have started swinging the disc for up 10 minutes. But instead, this cutter, look at how this cutter is just in the space, right? Let me just sit in this little hole. Let me just keep my eyes on my thrower, give him an option. I don't need to move around like crazy. I'm in this hole. I'm going to trust my thrower to solve all of our problems with a break throw. Boom. Now we're moving. So a great example of throwing through the V, great example of just sitting in that soft spot, giving your thrower an option. So another example of throwing against poaches. This one comes pretty fast, so I'll just show it here. The mark does a lot. They switch the mark a couple times, but eventually we just find a person right there in the middle of the field. We're going to back this up, slow it down, try to get something out of this. So here we get momentum towards the force side. It's tough to tell this is the force side. So the mark is trying to just take away momentum really quick. So he's flashing. At this moment, you might think, oh, the force is backhand. This is a flat mark. The mark is just being very creative here, right? They work their way back over into this trap side here. We can see this poach out here in the middle of the field, kind of playing safety, kind of playing the middle, just center field, trying to help somewhere with his teammates. And we can see that this player recognizes, hey, I'm being poached. No one's guarding me. I think it's easy to panic in these moments, not be sure what to do. But if we trust that our thrower is smart and competent, we can just give them an option. Keep your eyes on the thrower, be wide open, stand in the middle of the field, trust them to solve their problems with the break mark. And that's exactly what happens. So Subzero goes from a bad spot on the trap side here. The thrower is good. The thrower solves his problems with the break throw. All of a sudden we got the disc in the middle of the field. All of a sudden things are starting to look really good for Subzero. So great recognition by this player that, hey, no one's guarding me, nothing's happening, let me just stand, give my thrower an option. Great recognition from the thrower of seeing that poach over here, knowing his person would be wide open and just solving his problems by breaking the mark. There's two good throws in this clip that I want us to look at. So here we go. Vault has a backhand force on Subzero. They're forcing Subzero into this sideline, a little trap side force. Thrower stuck on the trap side. They're going to do a really good job here. We're going to slow this down to catch the right frame. Going to do a good job of solving their problems by breaking the mark. I want to pay attention to the base. Pay attention to the leg work of the thrower. So we've got left hip, left knee, left leg. I love that. Get that left knee down. Get that pivot knee down towards the ground. Right hip, right knee, right foot, a little strong, stable, 90-degree base, allows you to be athletic, allows you to be balanced, allows you to come out of this if you can't, if you need to. I think this is a great athletic base. I think this is a great example of setting a base as a thrower. Let's also look at the disc here, right? This disc, I think, is coming out below the thrower's knee. I think this is a really good example of getting low and throwing the Frisbee from a low release point. Solves all those problems by putting this thing out into space. Pay attention to the shape of this disc. Be honest with yourself. Would you have thrown this shape? I think a lot of us would have significantly more edge on that disc. And now we're going to get another really good throw. PK's giving this thrower a break side continue option. We're going to find the right frame. This is pretty good from the thrower. I'm a big fan of the right leg. So right leg, right knee, right hip, that 90-degree angle that we've talked about. This is strong, it's stable, it allows him to be balanced and athletic. I really like how the right armpit is on the right knee. I think that is another good cue. Bring your right armpit to your right knee, and that allows you to throw from a very low release point. If I find his hand, his hand is like somewhere here. So this disc came out from well below the thrower's knee. If I think about the throwers, if I think about their thigh bone, right? I always try to tell people, think about just projecting that thigh bone all the way out into space. Can you release from below that projected line? And here, this thrower is well below that line, several inches below that line. This disc is getting released very close to the ground. I like the left leg. I think this left knee could get closer to the ground. I do like how he's just getting low though. So this is a pretty good example. I would have pushed for, hey, put that left knee even further to the ground. I think you probably could have gotten even lower, but it's really hard to argue with the result over here because this player is getting super low. I mean, if I look at this, like he could be grabbing grass with his right hand here. So this is just a killer release underneath the mark. A good example of a great throw. Pay attention to the shape. I'm going to back it up. Watch the shape of this throw as it comes out. Ask yourself, hey, would I have used that shape or would I have put an aggressive amount of edge on that? All right, we're going to see our boy Levi get picked on here. We'll play it all out and then we'll back it up and talk about it. But there's a couple things that I really like about this huck from Vault. So the first is just the placement. So here this player, middle of the field, and this huck is placed to the middle of the end zone. I'll let it roll a little bit more. So here, pay attention to, placement of the huck. So this huck is being thrown to the middle of the end zone. Be honest with yourself. Would you have aimed for over here? Would you have tried to throw this huck right on the sideline? I think throwing to the middle of the end zone is a really good way of allowing your teammate to help you out and allowing yourself to avoid just like throwing the Frisbee out of bounds. Second thing to pay attention to is just the shape of this huck. And again, just really be honest with yourself. Would you have thrown this Frisbee as flat as this player did, or would you have tried to put a ton of edge to the sideline? Would you have just edged this disc aggressively so that it shoots up in the air and then aggressively tries to drop somewhere here on this sideline? Very flat disc. Look at how close this is to the middle of the end zone. Great throw. Lets the receiver do all the work. Goal for Vault. This is another really good huck from Vault. So we're going to see this disc come to the force side. This is a force side huck now. This disc is going to come out. And this is, we'll freeze it and think about it here. So remember that the thrower was on the sideline. They were very much on the sideline. They are aiming this throw to the middle of the end zone. Be honest with yourself. Would you have tried to throw it somewhere over here, tried to pin it on the line? The next thing I want us to really think about is look at the shape of this disc. There's some edge on it. I'm not arguing that this is a perfectly flat throw. What I am arguing is that a lot of us probably would have thrown something with an aggressive amount of edge on it. Pay attention to how flat this disc is. Look at how it just sits in space, lets the receiver go get it. Defender has no shot. Watch it again. Look, this thrower is on the sideline. They are opening up space by shooting for the middle of the end zone. They're letting this disc be pretty flat. They're letting the receiver help them out do the work out into space. It's a really good example of a nice huck. Here's an example. Vault is on offense, and this time Subzero is bringing the poach. So here we send, we got a thrower, we got the mark on. We have half of a V here. We've talked a lot about, I have talked a lot about those V shapes. There's no one here, but this is a pretty similar concept. Just kind of create bring a sag defender into this lane, try to crowd the thrower a little bit. And this is an example of how it's okay. You don't need to panic if you're Vault. Just recognize the poach and punish it. Notice how this player doesn't move at all. Just sit in that spot, give your thrower an option, be available for them. Hey, I'm not moving, I'm not running around like a maniac, I'm just a free, easy option. Vault takes the layup, gets out of the poach. Now we can see Subzero is locked in across the board. Poaches are dealt with. So good job by Vault, recognizing the poach and also just relaxing and giving your thrower the easy layup option. Short clip here, we're just seeing a Vault thrower use a little shimmy move to get an open throw. Watching it full speed here, we're going to slow down, watch this again, and really try to get our heads around what's going on. So as I let this roll, first thing here is boom. I love this. This is a really good starting point. Disc in the middle of your body, 2 hands on it, you're relaxed. If I gave this player a basketball, they wouldn't look crazy. It would look like, oh, they might dribble, they might pass, they might shoot. They're in this base triple threat, like zero neutral position. They're ready to just attack the mark. I like that a lot. I think if you're trying to, this is a left-handed thrower, so he's about to throw, he wants to throw the swing over here. I think to set that up, a really good cue is get the disc outside of your body on the opposite side. So if this thrower wants to throw to his right, get the disc outside of your body on your left, and then bring it all the way across and throw it to your right. And I think that's a really good example, really good cue that I talk about a lot is like, hey, get the disc outside your body, boom, and now bring it across. It's a good shimmy and a good example to learn from. So another example of playing offense against some poaches. Vault is now on the trap side. See, this player is left-handed, but he's being forced backhand. He's being forced into this sideline. He's being forced out of bounds. He's on the trap side here. Subzero is about to, as Bask picks his head up and plays some smart defense, Subzero is going to set up, they have in effect that little V formation that we've discussed a few times. He's got a defender there, got a defender here, kind of setting up that little V shape. The thrower has to know when you see this little V shape, thrower has to know there's going to be a soft spot right here. All we need is for some receiver to recognize it and give him an option. Now here we see 13 recognizes it right away. So we've got that V shape, really soft spot right here. All the thrower needs to do is solve his problems by breaking the mark, throw right through the middle of that V, throw right through the teeth of the defense, open up space for your team. So good recognition from the player downfield to just sit in that spot. Good job from the thrower solving his problems by breaking the mark. And now Vault has space as they're attacking towards the end zone.